Netanyahu, by his side, US President Donald Trump has unveiled a sweeping peace plan. Well, it's aimed at ending the Gaza conflict once and for all. It's bold, it's controversial, and of course, it's packed with major conditions. However, Hamas is yet to reply. Meanwhile, here's what the highlight of the Trump Gaza Peace Plan looks like. Now, first of all, the plan calls for an immediate end to the war, but only in the condition if both Israel and Hamas agree at the same time. Now, Israel would not be allowed to annex or occupy any part of Gaza under this plan. Full stop. Now, Trump also demands Gaza be cleared of all terrorist influence, creating a peaceful and a neutral zone, as he calls it. Moreover, every hostage held by either side, this includes prisoners held in Israeli jails, as well as Israeli hostages held by Hamas, including Israeli civilians and soldiers, like I mentioned, would be released by either side. Now, in return, Israel would release 250 prisoners serving life sentences and another 1,700 Gaza detainees. Now, once these terms are met, Israeli troops would fully withdraw from Gaza. There will be no lingering presence. A transitional Palestinian committee, meanwhile, would take over governance with Hamas completely excluded. Now, the plan guarantees no civilians will be forced out of Gaza, or at least it promises so. It says no displacement and there will be no relocation as well. Meanwhile, Hamas would have zero role in the new Gaza leadership now that it's a firm line in Trump's plan. Moreover, to maintain order, international peacekeepers would in fact be stationed within Gaza during the transition. Now, these are some big promises certain to encounter equally big challenges. Trump's plan is on the table, but the path to peace is still anything but simple. Meanwhile, listen in to what Trump and Netanyahu had to say.
Israel would have my full backing to finish the job of destroying the threat of Hamas, but I hope that we're going to have a deal for peace. And if Hamas rejects the deal, which is always possible, they're the only one left. Everyone else has accepted it. But I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer. But if not, as you know, Bibi, you'd have our full backing to do what you would have to do.
Your plan provides a practical and realistic path forward for Gaza in the coming years, in which Gaza will be administered neither by Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority, but by those committed to a genuine peace with Israel. I think this can be not only a new beginning for Gaza, I think it can be a new beginning for the entire region.
Well, for more on this, we are joined by Professor Kinraj Jangid. He's a West Asia expert from OP Jindal University. Thank you so much, Professor Jangid, for taking out the time and speaking with us. Professor, first of all, is it really realistic to expect Hamas to disarm and also to surrender hostages in just 72 hours, sir?
Thank you. It is in a way a suspense kind of a scenario. Hamas does have an interest in continuing with its maximalist position and not compromise on the issue of the hostages. I think once they don't have anybody in their captivity, they would be really exposed to the Israeli attacks. So yes, this is in a way the red line for their survival. However, in this new plan, there has been an exit created. So this is the exceptional plan in terms of political realization. Both Trump and Netanyahu threatened and used all force in Gaza, assuming that Hamas will be really put in a corner and then Hamas will compromise. Hamas has really dodged that threat. If we remember, before he took oath on 20th of January, Trump said all hell will break loose if Hamas will not release hostages before he takes oath in the office. And I think Hamas has been really, really capable, and it's surprising that it's capable to really ignore the blatant threats of the American president so far. But now that the fighters of Hamas will have an exit and will be allowed to leave Gaza, some of those who will renounce violence against the state of Israel or the Jews will be also allowed to stay in Gaza. So that's actually a very rare quality of this proposal, meaning it shows a great amount of compromise on the part of American understanding of the problem, and it also shows a compromise under pressure by Netanyahu.
Professor Jagid, speaking of the other side, can Netanyahu realistically commit to a full pullback without fracturing his own coalition? And we've seen the amount of cases and the protests against Netanyahu, the Saturday protests as they're called, by family members of the hostages that are still in Gaza. Can Netanyahu commit a full pullback without fracturing his own coalition?
Well, for that, everybody is waiting for him to return to Jerusalem. What would be fascinating is his public address in Hebrew. Whenever he speaks to the Americans in America or whenever he speaks to the international media in English, he says something else. And when he speaks to his people, meaning his coalition partners and his base, he speaks to them in Hebrew. And he certainly conveys to them differently. He doesn't appear under pressure. He makes all kind of false, pretenses of winning this war. So I think he does have an open political minefield when he goes back to Jerusalem, and everybody is waiting to see how he will stand that kind of a political fallout. Interestingly, the opposition parties of Israel have come forward, like they did in the last 2 years. They have said this to Americans that we will fully support Netanyahu government if his ultra-nationalist, radical, maximalist partners will depart from the government.
All right. So a very, very interesting, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Professor, a very interesting point, in fact, you raised that Netanyahu, when he speaks in English in front of the Americans, the tone and tonality and even the weight of words is very different. Now I want to ask you about, very quickly rather, because we're falling short on time, about the third party engaged here, which is the Arab powers or the Arab leaders. Now, why have the Arab leaders of the powers suddenly backed Trump? What's changed geopolitically all of a sudden?
Well, I must say that for the first time, the Arab states have really been united. Remember, not only Donald Trump made Netanyahu to accept the proposal, he made Netanyahu apologize to the Qatar Prime Minister yesterday. So there was a phone call sitting next to Trump. Netanyahu had to apologize to Qatar for the airstrikes in Qatar. And I think Saudi Arabia is another very important player in the Arab world that told Trump that there won't be any American diplomatic space if America allows Israel to capitalize on this blank check. And that's why Donald Trump, a few days back, before this peace proposal, he told Israelis, I will not allow annexation of the West Bank.
Yes.
Now, to many radicals in Israel, that was quite a rude realization, because they were believing that Donald Trump doesn't really restrict Israel from anything. So I think Arab world and some of the Arab leaders have been extremely independent in their thought, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing for the Palestinians that these
Arab leaders, for the first time, united in their thought and united for a cause. We really hope to see the end of this grinding war sooner than later. Meanwhile, thank you so much, Professor Jagid, for taking out the time and joining us on this very important issue.